All right, here we go with 10B. We're going to start 10-4, surface area of prisms and cylinders. What happened to the 3D figure who robbed the bank?
He got sent to prison.
Ooh! Aren't these great, you guys? All right, so an altitude of a prism or a cylinder has to be perpendicular to the segment that joins the planes of the bases. Okay, so the height of the three-dimensional figure is technically the length of the altitude. So if I want to know the height, if I've got something oblique, slanted here, it's going to be the distance from the planes that connect the two bases of there. So the altitude is considered the height. All right, so the surface area is the total area of all of the faces, the curved faces and the bases. Okay, that's the surface area. If I just want to find something called lateral area, it's just going to be the area of the lateral faces. Lateral faces are going to be the outside pieces, and it does not include the two bases. Okay, so in this case, it would be like the tube here. And it wouldn't be blocked off with the bases. Starting out basically with a prism. Prism is just a polyhedron, you guys know, with identical bases. Okay, remember those have to be prisms. So, not prisms, sorry, polygons, you guys. So a prism is named by the shape of the base. In this case, it's a pentagonal prism. The faces that are not called the bases, these are called your lateral faces. These are the ones that are on the outside that connect your two bases together. The bases of the prism have to be congruent and parallel. We talked about this. The lateral faces, we talked about them being parallelograms or rectangles, if it's a right prism. And then those edges here where they connect, these are called your base edges. You guys, we did this in 10A. We talked about exactly what it was. Just a little bit of review of what the figure is. All right, so if your lateral edges are perpendicular to the base, this is called a right prism. So if they create 90-degree angles, those lateral faces with the bases. If not, that's called oblique. Now, 99.9% of the figures that you see will be right figures. Okay, the others will be oblique. However, the altitude will be given for you. Regular prisms are right prisms, and the bases are regular polygons, so all the sides are going to be congruent. Okay, surface area of a prism is the sum of the areas of the outer surfaces, so the surface area is in square units. It's the area of the net. This includes the bases. Lateral area is just the area of the lateral faces, so it does not include the bases. So let's get started with our formulas here. Here we go. Here are the three formulas of a prism. Okay, now prisms and cylinders, remember, are very, very similar here. The only difference between a prism and a cylinder is the base. The cylinder base is always a circle, so keep that in mind as we're going through here. To find just the lateral area of a right prism, you're going to take the perimeter of the base and multiply it by the height. That gives you each one of your outer edges. The surface area is the lateral area, but remember we have to add on two of our bases, the top and the bottom. And then this is a shortcut for a cube. Remember, all the sides are the same, so if you take the side squared, that finds the area of one side, and if it's a cube, there's 6 of those, so it's 6 times the side squared. You will need to know these formulas. All right, so first example, find the lateral area and the surface area of a right regular triangular prism with a height of 20 and a base edge of 10, round to the nearest tenth if necessary. You guys know I always like to start with formulas. This is a prism, so to find the lateral area of a prism, you have to take the perimeter of the base times the height of the solid. Okay? Well, first things first, if this is a right triangular prism, I'm going to draw a picture of my base here. Remember, it's regular, so each side is going to be 10. Okay, so the perimeter of the base in this case, perimeter of the base is 10, 20, 30. So this is going to be 30. Oops. And now times the height of the solid. Well, they tell you the height of the solid is 20. So times 20. My lateral area is going to be 600. And now don't forget we're looking units, centimeters squared, area. So there's one right there. The next part that they want you to find is your surface area. Remember, surface area has your lateral area, perimeter of the base times the height, but now we have to add on 2 times the area of the base. This changes with each prism because the prism can have a triangular base, a rectangular base, a pentagonal base, a hexagonal base, yada, yada, yada. So the formula changes each time. Well, we know that this first part here is 600, right? And I'm going to take 2 times something. I have to find the area of the base. The base here, you guys, is a triangle. So to find the area of the base, it's going to be 1/2 base times height. Well, this is 1/2 times 10. I have to find my height. Well, lucky for us that this is an equilateral triangle. Remember, in an equilateral triangle, I'm going to blow this up here. If I put my height in, it turns into 2 30, 60, 90s. So if this is 5, my height is 5 square roots of 3. I told you this stuff doesn't go away. So times 5 square roots of 3. All right, so if I work this through, I get 25. Half of 5 is 5. So this is 25 square roots of 3. That's going to go in here. All right, so your answer could be 600 plus 50 square roots of 3 centimeters squared. Or if you wanted to type it all into your calculator, I would also accept 686.6 nearest 10th centimeters squared. Now, I will accept both because technically this one is more accurate than this one because there's no rounding. However, it's up to you. So either or is fine. All right, so a cylinder, like I said, is just like a prism. Okay, it has congruent bases, parallel planes. The only difference here is that our bases are actually circles. Okay, now the axis of the cylinder is the segment that joins the center of those circles. Okay, so you have an axis here that's a little bit slanted because this is oblique, one that's nice and neat. Okay, the axis is perpendicular to the base if it's a right cylinder, and if it's not, it's got to be oblique. Okay, the altitude measures the height, and if it's a right cylinder, the altitude is actually the same thing as the axis. Now, just like I was talking about before with prisms, you guys, 9 times out of 10, we're going to be working with right cylinders. And if not, the altitude will be given for you in the picture. All right, so let's take a look here. Remember, our formulas for the lateral area of a prism was the perimeter of the base times the height. Okay? In this case, though, we don't call it perimeter for a circle. We call it circumference. So I want you to notice it's 2 pi r for the perimeter or circumference times the height. It's the exact same formula. It's just related to a circle. Same thing with our surface area. Our surface area here, we have our lateral area, and then you have to add on 2 times the area of the base. Well, each time the base is going to be a circle. So that's why it's 2 times pi r squared. Okay? Exact same formulas as a prism, it's just related to the circles, you guys. So let's give it a shot. Find the lateral area and the surface area of the cylinder. Leave your answer in terms of pi. In other words, I don't want to see it multiplied through. Now, if I said to round it, of course you're going to multiply it through. But in this case, I didn't, so let's not worry about it, okay? All right, so first things first, I want to find the lateral area and the surface area. So the formula, lateral area is 2 pi r times the height. If the diameter is 16, that makes our radius 8. Okay, so it's going to be 2 pi times 8, and then the height of the solid is 10. So now 2 times 8 is 16 times 10 gives me 160 pi, and now it's inches squared. All right. Now surface area, you guys, has our lateral area, 2 pi r h, but we have to add on 2 of our bases, 2 pi r squared. So I know it's 160 pi. But now I have to add on 2 pi times 8 squared. Remember, 8 squared is 64. Multiply that by 2 and then add it to 160, and we get 288 pi centimeters squared. All right, so find the lateral area and the surface area of a right cylinder with a circumference of 24 pi, and then the height equal to half the radius. Well, let's take a look. In order to find the lateral area, we need 2 pi r times the height. They don't give us the radius, you guys. They only give us the circumference. So if the circumference equals 24 pi, I could find the radius by plugging in the formula. Circumference is 2 pi r equals 24 pi. Divide by 2 pi. And I find out that my radius is 12. Now, if the radius is 12, the height's equal to half of it, so the height has to equal 6. Now that we have our pieces, I would like for you to find your lateral area and your surface area, please. So you're going to pause this, lateral area, surface area, and we'll go from there. All right, so if you take a look, I plugged in my radius and my height, and I got 144 pi for my lateral area. Now I plug that into the surface area. Since my radius is 12, I got 144 over here, and when I combine it together, I got 432 pi. All right, composite figures, they work with three-dimensional figures as well. So to find the surface area, you guys, this is going to be a little bit tricky because what happens is when you take your prism up top and your prism on the bottom and you put them together, two of our bases are now overlapping each other and are in the inside of the figure. So it's no longer part of our surface area. Okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to find the two surface areas, and then you'll have to subtract these two rectangles here in order to get the actual surface area for the composite figure. So first things first, up top we have a triangular prism. Okay, so we have to do the perimeter of the base times the height, and then 2 times the area of the base. Okay, so let's take a look here. The perimeter of the base, in this case, the base is a triangle. I know that's 4. That's 3. This is 4. Please do the Pythagorean theorem, or if you know your Pythagorean triple, find the other side, please. All right, so you should have noticed 3 squared plus 4 squared equals c squared gives you 5. So my perimeter of the base, if I add it up, 3 plus 4 plus 5 gives me 12. The height of my solid, so if you tip this over, if you were to tip this over so that the base is down, the height would be 2. And now I have to add on 2 times the area of the base. Well, the base is a triangle, so 4 times 3 over 2 gives me 6. Okay, so this one is 24 plus 12, which gives me 36, units squared. All right, now we have to do the rectangular prism. Okay, again, perimeter of the base times the height, and then 2 times the area of the base. Please find the surface area for this prism. All right, so the perimeter of the base, 4, 2, 4, and 2 gives me 12. The height is 3. And then the area is a rectangle, so that gives me 8. Okay, so your total is going to be 52 there. So now usually what happens is I add these up, and I get 36 plus 52, which gives me what? 88. So right now I've got a surface area of 88 units squared. However, these two rectangles end up overlapping. So I'm going to take 88 and I'm going to have to subtract, what is this, 8 and 8. So I'm going to have to subtract 16. So if I take 88 and I subtract 16, it gives me 72 units squared. In this case, centimeters squared. All right, please make sure you come with questions. We'll talk more about this tomorrow, and I've got some nice hands-on solids we can work with as well. Have a great night, you guys.